Stop buying turmeric supplements. I know that might sound shocking coming from a doctor, but after 30 years spent investigating the science of inflammation and the way it subtly damages the body from within, I feel compelled to share the reality with you. Turmeric simply isn't the most effective anti-inflammatory food on earth. It's not even a close contender. Today, I'm going to reveal what truly is, backed by peer-reviewed findings from some of the most prestigious research institutions in the world. A major study published by Harvard Medical School followed over 4,800 adults aged 60 and older for 12 years. The researchers determined that chronic low-grade inflammation, which the scientific community calls inflammaging, was the primary predictor of cognitive decline, heart disease, joint failure, and premature death in that demographic. Over 12 years, looking at thousands of subjects, the data was definitive. The food those individuals consumed every single day was either stoking that fire or putting it out. That isn't a supplement, that is your fork, that is your grocery shopping, and it is far more influential than any pill you will ever swallow. I need to mention a teaser before we proceed, because item number one on our list today is something nearly every senior I see has completely overlooked, or in some cases been wrongly told to avoid. It's affordable, available at every local supermarket, and when researchers at Johns Hopkins evaluated it against standard inflammatory markers, the findings were almost impossible to believe. Make sure you stick with me through the end, because that revelation will completely transform the way you approach your weekly shopping. But before we get to the list, I have a personal question for you. Please leave a comment below telling me your age and whether you have been suffering from joint pain, brain fog, fatigue, or any other nagging concerns that doctors sometimes dismiss as merely a part of aging. I really want to know because I read every single comment on this channel. Everyone, you are much more than a number to me, and your health history really matters. Now, let's begin. Today we're counting down from 5 to 1, ranked from incredibly powerful to absolutely extraordinary. The foods that recent science proves fight inflammation faster than turmeric ever could. Starting at number 5, and this one tends to surprise nearly everyone the first time they hear it, is extra virgin olive oil. Now wait, before you decide you already know this, let me share something the label on that store-bought bottle never mentions. There is a compound in high-quality extra virgin olive oil known as oleocanthal, and this specific molecule acts almost exactly like ibuprofen inside the human body when you consume it in the right quantities. That is not a metaphor. It is a literal biochemical process validated by researchers at the Monell Chemical Senses Center in Philadelphia. When you consume a tablespoon of authentic, high-quality extra virgin olive oil, that distinctive burning sensation at the back of your throat is the oleocanthal activating the same anti-inflammatory pathways as a 200 milligram dose of ibuprofen without any of the stomach bleeding or kidney stress. This is why it's so critical for those of you over 65. As we age, our intestinal lining tends to thin and grow more permeable. Doctors call this increased intestinal permeability. Essentially, it means your gut wall forms tiny fissures, allowing inflammatory proteins to enter your bloodstream directly. Think of it like a garden hose developing tiny leaks. The water sprays everywhere instead of traveling where it needs to. The oleocanthal in extra virgin olive oil helps seal those leaks while simultaneously suppressing an inflammatory enzyme referred to as COX-2. A University of Athens study discovered that seniors who consumed at least 40 milliliters of extra virgin olive oil daily, that's about 3 tablespoons, had 26% lower levels of C-reactive protein, one of the most accurate indicators of systemic inflammation. To prepare it properly, never heat extra virgin olive oil to high temperatures. The compounds that combat inflammation are heat sensitive. Drizzle it raw over vegetables, whole grain breads, or eggs once they are cooked. Pair it with leafy greens, as the fats in the oil drastically boost your body's absorption of the fat-soluble anti-inflammatory nutrients within those greens. One drizzle makes a massive difference. Moving on to number 4, and this has a fascinating backstory. Wild-caught fatty fish, specifically sardines, mackerel, and wild salmon. I realize some of you may be rolling your eyes, but listen closely because the research here is profound and most people are totally missing the most critical part of this story. Your body, once you pass age 70, loses a significant capacity to convert basic omega-3 fatty acids into the two specific anti-inflammatory forms that actually do the work, EPA and DHA. Your conversion efficiency drops by as much as 40% compared to when you were in your 40s. This is what scientists refer to as age-related metabolic decline in lipid processing, meaning by the time you reach 75, taking a standard fish oil supplement is significantly less effective than consuming the whole food source because the omega-3s in fish arrive pre-converted and bound to phospholipids, which your aging cells absorb with far greater efficiency. A 12-week clinical trial from the University of Pittsburgh found that adults over 65 who ate fatty fish at least 3 times a week demonstrated a 32% decrease in interleukin-6, a key inflammatory signaling molecule, compared to those who took equivalent omega-3 supplements in pill form. The whole food clearly outperformed the supplement by a wide margin. I'd like to share the story of Margaret, a 73-year-old retired teacher from Tucson, Arizona. When she arrived at our clinic, she could barely climb stairs because of her severe knee pain. Her inflammatory markers were alarmingly high, and she'd been using turmeric capsules for 2 years with very little success. We implemented one dietary shift. We introduced canned sardines and wild salmon into her meals 3 times a week. Within 6 weeks, her C-reactive protein had dropped by nearly 1/3. By the 3-month mark, she was walking 2 miles every single day. She told me, "Doctor, I feel like I gained 10 years back." A practical tip? Canned sardines packed in water or olive oil are cheap, easy to store, and require 0 cooking. Eat them on whole grain crackers with a splash of lemon. Interestingly, the lemon helps improve omega-3 absorption via a specific interaction with your bile acid production. All the scientific citations for today's content are linked in the description below. Now, right here between number 4 and number 3, I want to take a brief pause. If you are finding this helpful, if you believe this is the type of evidence-based, doctor-led content that seniors really need to see, please hit that subscribe button right now and give this video a like. It takes just 2 seconds and helps this platform show this information to other people just like you who are struggling to find real, reliable answers. I read every comment and I truly want to see this community thrive. Now, on to number 3. This is where things get truly impressive. Number 3 is tart cherries, specifically Montmorency tart cherries. And I want you to pay close attention because the findings from Oregon Health and Science University will absolutely surprise you. Tart cherries contain a unique mix of anthocyanins. Those are the deep red and purple pigments, along with a naturally occurring form of melatonin and a compound known as quercetin that interact in a way no other single food can match. The researchers measured uric acid levels. Uric acid is responsible for gout and contributes to inflammation in joints throughout the body, and they found that adults consuming tart cherry juice daily for only 3 weeks experienced a 19% reduction in uric acid and a 25% drop in 2 specific markers of oxidative inflammation. Here is the age-specific mechanism that makes this so incredible. After age 65, the mitochondria in your cells, think of these as tiny power plants that generate energy for everything your body does, start producing significantly more free radicals as a byproduct of standard energy production. Free radicals are like stray sparks from a fire. In a youthful body, your antioxidant system catches these sparks before they cause damage. However, after 65, that defense system becomes considerably weaker, and those sparks start landing and burning, creating cellular inflammation that accumulates over the years. The anthocyanins in tart cherries are among the most potent free radical neutralizers found in any whole food. They enter the mitochondria themselves and reduce that spark generation at the source. For practical usage, drink 8 ounces of unsweetened tart cherry juice in the morning or eat a small handful of dried tart cherries as an afternoon snack. Pair them with a little vitamin C from citrus because vitamin C significantly boosts your absorption of anthocyanins. Drink the juice about 30 minutes before your breakfast to gain maximum anti-inflammatory benefits during the morning when inflammatory markers are typically at their peak. Number 2, I need you to sit down for this if you aren't already. because the science behind our number two food is so compelling and yet so totally ignored by conventional health advice that I honestly get frustrated talking about it. Number two is ginger, but not the way you've used it before. Raw, fresh ginger root, when consumed in a very specific way and quantity, triggers an anti-inflammatory response that University of Georgia researchers measured as being up to 25% more effective than standard anti-inflammatory medications at reducing muscle and joint inflammation in adults over 60. There are two compounds in fresh raw ginger doing the heavy lifting: gingerols and shogols. Here is the critical detail almost no one talks about. When you heat ginger, when you cook it or brew standard ginger tea, the gingerols transform into a different compound, and you lose a substantial amount of the anti-inflammatory power. Raw ginger preserves its complete gingerol content, and gingerols specifically block a molecular pathway known as NFKB, which is essentially the master switch that tells your body to trigger systemic inflammation. By effectively blocking NFKB, you aren't just lowering one kind of inflammation, you're effectively muting the entire inflammatory orchestra at once. For seniors, this is massively important because after age 70, NFKB activity jumps by up to 45% compared to middle age. Your body is generating more inflammatory signals than ever with a diminished system to manage them. Raw ginger attacks the problem right at the root. Let me tell you about Harold, a 78-year-old retired electrician from Cleveland. Harold had been dealing with chronic lower back inflammation for 11 years. He had tried everything: prescription drugs, physical therapy, even every kind of turmeric you can imagine. His daughter brought him to see us and was practically in tears watching her father age 10 years in just 2. We put Harold on what I call the morning ginger protocol. 1 teaspoon of freshly grated raw ginger mixed into room temperature water with a squeeze of lemon and a pinch of black pepper, consumed first thing on an empty stomach. The black pepper is crucial. It contains piperine, which boosts gingerol bioavailability by as much as 20%. Within 8 weeks, Harold's inflammatory markers dropped substantially. Within 4 months, he was back working in his shop. He called me on a Tuesday just to tell me he'd finished building a birdhouse. That phone call is why I do this. For optimal results, use 1 TSP of freshly grated ginger daily, consumed raw in water, a smoothie, or on food that isn't hot. The synergy partner is always black pepper. If you can add a bit of healthy fat, a few walnuts, or a drizzle of that olive oil from number 5, the fat-soluble components of ginger will be absorbed even more efficiently. And now, number 1, the one food that research proves outperforms turmeric, outperforms most supplements, and that almost every senior watching this has likely been told to consume less of, or worse, avoid altogether. The number 1 most potent anti-inflammatory food, backed by extensive research, is dark leafy greens, specifically a combination of raw spinach and arugula consumed daily. I know you have heard to eat your greens 1,000 times, but I promise you have never heard it explained quite like this. A landmark study from the Rush University Medical Center in Chicago, this was the MIND Diet study involving 960 adults averaging 81 years of age over nearly 5 years, found that participants who consumed at least 1 serving of leafy greens every single day exhibited cognitive aging that was 11 years younger than those who rarely ate them. 11 years, not months, years. However, the cognitive boost was actually a secondary effect of the main finding, which was dramatic. Consistent daily consumption of leafy greens lowered systemic inflammatory biomarkers by an average of 41% compared to the low intake group. Here is the mechanism, and this is what I need you to truly understand. Leafy greens, particularly spinach and arugula, contain massive concentrations of a compound called nitrate, which your body turns into nitric oxide. Think of nitric oxide as the body's ultimate internal plumber. It dilates blood vessels, boosts circulation to inflamed tissues, reduces arterial stiffness that occurs after age 65, which doctors call vascular senescence, and simultaneously signals your immune system to lower its inflammatory response. But there is more. Spinach and arugula also offer folate, magnesium, and a specific type of vitamin K called K1, which all work in synergy to suppress a class of inflammatory proteins. known as cytokines. To keep it simple, cytokines are the chemical messengers your immune system sends out when it senses a threat. But in aging bodies, they often misfire continuously, creating what researchers refer to as a cytokine storm in slow motion. Leafy greens silence that storm at a molecular level. After age 75, your body loses roughly 35% of its ability to regulate cytokine responses effectively. That is not a small number. That means your immune system is more likely to turn against you, causing smoldering inflammation that damages your joints, brain, heart, and arteries silently every day. Daily leafy greens represent the most evidence-backed, affordable, and accessible intervention to reverse that process that medical science has ever discovered. Let me tell you about Dorothy, an 81-year-old from a small town near Nashville, Tennessee. Dorothy came to our clinic with such extreme fatigue that she described it as living underwater. Her inflammatory markers were among the highest I had seen in my entire career for a woman of her age. She wasn't on any special diet. She was just eating the typical American diet. We made one change, just one. Every morning, Dorothy blended 2 large handfuls of raw baby spinach and arugula with a cup of water, half a lemon, and a teaspoon of fresh ginger. That was it. Within 30 days, her energy had clearly returned. Within 90 days, her own primary care physician called me to ask what she changed because her lab work was, in his words, dramatically improved. Dorothy told me she danced at her granddaughter's wedding 4 months later. She danced. For preparation, eat these leafy greens raw whenever you can to keep the nitrate and folate levels high. Both are greatly reduced by cooking. If you hate the taste of raw greens, blend them into a morning smoothie with fruit to completely mask the flavor. Pair them with a source of vitamin C, which doubles the iron absorption from spinach, and always include a little healthy fat, olive oil, avocado, or walnuts, because the vitamin K in greens is fat soluble and won't absorb properly without it. Consume them in the morning when your body's inflammatory signals are highest, and you'll be targeting inflammation at the exact moment in your biological cycle when you need it most. The ultimate synergy combination for the day is raw spinach and arugula with fresh lemon juice, a splash of extra virgin olive oil, a sprinkle of black pepper, and a few walnuts on top. This combines 4 of the most effective anti-inflammatory mechanisms we discussed today into one meal: nitric oxide production, oleocanthal activity, gingerol bioavailability, and essential fatty acid delivery. Together, they create an anti-inflammatory impact that no supplement, turmeric included, can duplicate. Here is what I want you to remember today. You are not too old. You are not too far gone. The inflammation that is silently draining your energy, your mobility, your mental clarity, your independence, it is not inevitable and it is not permanent. The research is completely clear that the human body, even at 80 or 85, maintains a remarkable ability to respond to proper nutrition. The seniors I have treated who make these adjustments don't just show improvements in lab results. They reclaim their lives. They dance at weddings. They build birdhouses. They walk miles in the morning. They stop living under the cloud of pain and exhaustion and begin remembering who they truly are. It is never, ever too late to give your body what it has been needing. If this video provided you value today, please subscribe to the channel as I publish new research-backed content for seniors every single week. Content created to provide you with real facts that your life and your health deserve. Hit the like button, share this with someone you love who might need to see it, and leave me a comment right now. Tell me your age. Tell me which food on this list was the most shocking to you, and tell me one thing you'll add to your diet starting tomorrow. I read every comment, truly. I will see you in the next video. Take care of yourself because you absolutely deserve to.